Hi guys, Kenny here. Welcome to this video. Today in this video we're going to be looking at one of the great lost albums from the 1970s. It's the self-titled Elizabeth Barraclough, which was released in 1978 on the Bearsville, I think, record label. Yeah, it's in Bearsville. And it's an astonishing album. I think there's 10 tracks in it, 5 per side. And it's one of these albums that kind of just went totally under the radar. Totally under the radar. Nobody, there was never a big thing made about this album. In fact, when I got this album, I actually got it through, it was free by subscribing to Dark Star magazine. And it was this issue here that I subscribed to, and I sent off for my free album, and this absolute gem of an album appeared on my doorstep one day. I stuck it on the record player and it just blew me away, and it's been blowing me away ever since. And every single person that I speak to, there's only one guy that I know who knows this album, because do you remember during COVID, you kind of put up your 10 favourite albums? And this was in my album, and the brilliant rock photographer and music and arts photographer Mark Marney, who I've actually photographed in the past, this is Mark here, who I've photographed in the past, commented and goes, "Oh my God, I don't believe this. Nobody knows this album." And we had a wee chat about it. But it's magnificent, and I'd like to introduce it to you today, just explaining why I think it's such a brilliant album, and why this poor, incredible woman, Elizabeth Barraclough, has 95 views a month on Spotify. What the hell is that all about? Because she is way worth more than 95 views. Now, I have to say that her second album, I wasn't too enamored with it. It's amazing how something, your first debut album, it comes out, your debut album is always your first album. Anyway, the first album it comes out, for me, it just always seems to be the best album the artist makes, because they then get into that mix of the whole music business, and they're kind of forced to go into directions that they're not really comfortable with, but what the record company think is going to be a more commercially successful venture. So the first album, though, absolutely incredible. Let's just go through. I've got a few things here. Just go through. I've got my wee iPad here. The band is fantastic. So acoustic bass, Bob Butcher. Acoustic guitar, Billy Stanford. The bass, Bob Bushford, Ian Hampton, Mike Hodgkinson and Mike Leach. The drums, Dave Lewis, Kenny Buttery, Malcolm Mortimer. Guitar, Elizabeth Barraclough, Smoke Abington, Mick Hodgkinson and Todd Rundgren. Hell, pretty good. Harmonica, Paul Butterfield. Now, she actually stayed with Paul Butterfield. They were an item for about 10 years. So she kind of really absorbed that whole blues thing. But where are we? Keyboards, Mick Hodgkinson. Piano, Charlie McCoy. Yeah, not bad stuff at all. Who produced the album? Yeah, well, Albert Grossman and John Simon. Now, Albert Grossman, if I am correct, was Bob Dylan's manager. So yeah, he kind of saw something there. And let's just talk a little bit about the album itself. It was released in 1978, as I say. 10 tracks, 5 per side. It's perfectly weighted, perfectly balanced. It's really lovely. It's in the, I would say, progressive country, Americana, singery-songwritery genre, where her voice, right, it really shines. Her voice is not brilliant, but it's real. It's properly real. It's got real emotion and real depth, and it might not be the strongest voice in the world. She's no a Janis Joplin, right? She's no a Janis Joplin, but her voice is perfectly suited to her beautiful songs, and there's a pleading and almost raw, visceral nature in her voice which comes out through this music. I've been covered up in aces, covered up in aces, covered up in aces, which is absolutely incredible. Um, Now what she's doing, she's a photographer now. She's a same as me. I'm a photographer, so she's a photographer, and she lives in California, and I think she does rock photography now. I think she only made the 2 albums and then kind of got totally fed up with the whole music business. I know for a fact that she is a massive reggae fan, and this is the one kind of music that I think she really engages with at the minute. I'd love to meet up with her at some point and have a chat about music and about photography, but that will probably never happen. But hell, who knows? So there. Anyway, that's that. I'm just going to quickly go to notes here. Yeah, she's also recorded live with people like Kenny Buttery, Rick Danko, Levin Helm, Garth Hudson, John Sebastian, and Todd Rundgren. Incredible names in the music in musical history. She originated in New Mexico, and then she moved to the East Coast of the United States. And her and Paul Butterfield, as I say, lived for 10 years there, and went out for 10 years. So it's 2 albums. One was a self-titled Elizabeth Barraclough in '78, and that was followed on in '79 by an album called High, which I have to say that I'm not as impressed by as I am with this album. This is the album I really want to introduce you to today. So let's go through the track listings. Let me come back here. Let me go through the track listings. We've got, starts off with a fabulous reggae kind of beat called Who Do You Think's a Fool? There's a really great wee solo in here. It just pumps along with the beat. Really, really lovely, lovely, lovely song. And it's followed by another song called Shepherd's Bush. I'm assuming it's a Shepherd's Bush in London, who knows. Waking up one morning and I had changed, the voice had changed. But again, there's a reggae vibe to this, and a visceral nature to her voice, which really just strains, but strains in an emotional way, as opposed to straining in a straining way, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so the next track on the album is called Don't TV Me. And I think it's probably my least favourite track on the album. I still kind of quite like it. It's not a bad track, but it's kind of out of keeping a little bit for me with the whole Americana country, steel guitar feel to it. It's a little bit quirky, not particularly for me, but still not a bad track at all. Sunset Harvest Moon, it's absolutely beautiful. The great guitar playing on it, again, beautiful lyrics and beautiful singing. Tremendous track. Late in My Bed is one of the top tracks now. I've got 2 absolute favourites on this album, and Late in My Bed is one of them. It starts off with this kind of slow bluesy thing, and it ends up as a kind of shouter at the end. It's really fabulous stuff. The winter time is coming down. Ruby, almost pure country. Great rhythm, great playing. It's just a lovely song.
So many paths get tossed and turned, many more divided by some shattered dream of a broken man. The two events that have collided.
Believe It So is another one of these beautiful ones where Paul Butterfield gives some harmonica, which is just sublime harmonica. It's a really beautiful song.
It was the first autumn's afternoon, and a few of the leaves had started to turn in.
Boney Mountain, classic song, really beautiful.
Won't you come up? Won't you come up to this Boney Mountain?
And like the desert needs the sand. Oh, it's so beautiful. It just makes you. It just pulls you in. It pulls you in. It's absolutely incredible.
As lovers we had parted, let the kitchen curtains stand.
And my favourite track on the whole album, and in fact, this track was a single. It's called Covered Up in Aces, and again, her voice in this, and the rhythm in this, and the voice, it's incredible. It's really hard to explain about her voice because, as I say, she's got this kind of beautiful, shouty, straining voice, but it works with the songs. And when she starts to do the Covered Up in Aces at the end, and she's really starting to be covered up in aces, it's just fabulous.
I've been covered up in aces, covered up in aces, covered up in aces, covered up in aces.
So anyway, that's an introduction to an album which probably most of you will not have heard, and I would love you to I put a comment in the bottom in the comment section there if you agree that you love this album, or perhaps not, perhaps you disagree, but it certainly should not have been put into the great big dustbin of vinyl records in the 1970s, because it is quite a special album, and for me it's still a special album. I listen to it a lot. I get so much enjoyment from this album in the car, just working away doing some editing. It's amazing album. So anyway guys, I'd love you to subscribe to the channel. We're going to put a lot more of this stuff up. I would like you to press the notification bell, which means that you'll get informed when we do produce a new video. Check out some of my other stuff on the channel. There's a particularly entertaining one about why everything recorded after 1979 is utter crap. You might get a thrill out of that one. But my name's been Kenny Martin. It's been great speaking to you, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye just now.